Trade rumors are heating up for the Baltimore Orioles. A lot of players have been involved, and several new moves have been hitting around the MLB, indicating the future of the Baltimore Orioles, and multiple players could be on the move. Welcome back to Orioles Digest. I'm your host, Kam Brice, and it's not looking so good for the Baltimore Orioles. Lost to the Tampa Bay Rays once again last night, 3-4, in which they let a game slip right through their hands. So, what's wrong with this team? And will moves even be made at the deadline? What is Mike Elias doing with this franchise? And is 2026 even a contending year for this team? We don't know. But find all of that on this episode of Orioles Digest. So let's get into our first topic of the day. Yes, if you know Bleacher Report, the MLB, every midpoint off season, they come out with these radical trade ideas and these articles predicting each MLB team and where they can move on, what players, extensions, or what could happen with their franchise going on from this year. Now, for the Baltimore Orioles, in that case, yeah, they have the Baltimore Orioles at 8, 9 projected trade targets, including Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins, and Félix Bautista. No Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, or Jackson Holliday. None of three young trios. Excuse me. So let's talk about Ryan O'Hearn a little bit. Now, should the Baltimore move on from Ryan O'Hearn? No. In reality, Ryan O'Hearn is a guy that you can have in a DH position, first base. He's a guy that you can rotate a lot of different positions. And Ryan O'Hearn is a good player, and he's been the same guy since Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker's a very, very good player now. So he's going down that same path. They both got DFA from the Royals back in, I think, 2022, 2021, one of those years. And now they're pretty good baseball players. So that's all that matters. But if you're thinking about this for the long run situation, you have Kobe Mayo, you have Basalo coming up, you have different people, trade targets, free agents. You want to win a championship team. Can Ryan O'Hearn be their first baseman DH for the future? And then when Mountcastle comes back, how is Mountcastle or O'Hearn's going to play every day? Because we saw when Mountcastle and O'Hearn were healthy every day, O'Hearn were DH when he wouldn't play, then Kobe Mayo would DH first base and Mountcastle would DH and when he wouldn't play. So it's a lot of moving parts with this, but I believe the best situation would to be to move on from Ryan Mountcastle and Ryan O'Hearn, but seemingly that Mountcastle's hurt. It's no moving on from him. We don't have an opportunity. So now we're looking at the Ryan O'Hearn situation. I think the Baltimore should move on from him, get better compensation, get at least a pitcher prospect. You can get the number 6, number 12 prospect. I take a number 12 prospect of a 19-year-old throwing 99, 98. We can work on it. We can turn them into ace. That's the type of players. So that's for Ryan O'Hearn. My say on Ryan O'Hearn, I want to know what you guys tell me what you guys know in a comment. Who would you rather trade out of all these guys I'm about to mention? To any point, comment below in this video. Let me know. Just give me your thoughts. But in my situation and what I think the Baltimore is best to trade Ryan O'Hearn because you might not get a lot for any other guys. As the curse said, everyone that you thought you could trade they have no value. So I think he has the most value that the Orioles be willing to trade, except for this guy. Sorry, this guy, Cedric Mullins. He has a lot of value. Now, Cedric Mullins can help a championship contending team. He can be that veteran leadership, that sneaky bat to when Mullins gets hot, he's hot for a while and he's hot for a month. But then he cools off and he goes cold for a month. And he comes back. But if Mullins could just stay consistent, I was saying earlier this year, it was looking like Mullins was going for 30 year. Started the year out going nuts. And I thought he was going to have an all-star caliber year. Then the injuries riled up and then the inconsistency, and then he just never stopped fighting. Then the trade rumors, all the talks. I'm pretty sure that's buzzing with his head. It's going to be last year in Baltimore. He doesn't know. Contract year is supposed to be the year he's supposed to have the best year of his career, better than 30 for 30. So many situations, and obviously the Baltimore is not winning doesn't help any of these ideas or trades. Man, if the Baltimores are winning, Cedric Mullins having a good year, and we still could trade him. Maybe his value would be crazy good. But for right now, Mullins doesn't have any value at all. It's not that big enough if we do. We can't just send Cedric Mullins in a trade package single-handedly himself and expect a big return. We're not getting a big return. We're going to have to add Cedric Mullins, Félix Bautista, Dylan Beavers to get a big return, a slightly big return. And Felix is not available. I don't think they're going to trade Dylan Beavers because we haven't seen him in the MLB. It'd be ridiculous to just trade Dylan Beavers without giving him an opportunity. And he goes to a different organization and he tears it up and ends up like another Kyle Stowers situations. When you have talented players in the organization and you have so many other guys that you want to give opportunities, this is time. This is time for Mike Elias. And you know what? I'm not going to say move Cedric Mullins, but you can play Cedric Mullins less. I think you resign Cedric Mullins to a 2-year friendly deal with a player option after next year. You bring him back, you bring that same guy. This guy is going to retire at Baltimore. I just don't see a situation where you let him go, especially when you always need a good veteran on his team. So just keeping him in the veteran outfield, you can just fill that center forward void. Even though the bat might not be that consistent, you're getting the 242 on a good year, a 270, 265. 1921, 75, over 130 hits. That's the type of guy you're getting. It's okay on base. OPS flirting around 800, 830. That's a good baseball player. It's a potential all-star player. And I feel like the Baltimore is in this situation with Cedric Mullins. You keep this guy. You don't trade Cedric Mullins. And then finally, we're going to look at all of these names. Oh my God, these are crazy names. Zach Eflin, Anthony Dominguez, sorry, Gregory Soto. And then we got Ramon Urias and Charlie Morton. I don't see Ramon Urias getting traded. I don't think he has any value. He has a platoon. You might can get another platoon or another reliever for Ramon that hasn't been as good this year, but I just don't see why we just keep Ramon as a bench for the rest of his career. Just keep him on the bench, or we just keep him just floating there whenever we need a pinch hitter opportunity. He's guys that will step up in the playoffs if he could have a big moment. So just keep him if we make the playoffs next year. I'm not talking about this year because this year's over. Anthony Dominguez, I don't see it. I feel like he's still another guy that still can develop a little bit more, even though he's a little older on the older side. He can still get some stuff right. Gregory Soto, I think it's time for him to go. Sagano, I think it's time for him to go. I think this was a good year, 1 year rental, but what we weren't learned from international signings from Japan and the KBO League, you get them young, so they be really good, like the Dodge Cherokee. And then Zach Eflin, I think Zach Eflin is not the number two that we thought. I think when Grayson went down, he got forced in this tough position to be the starter. Everyone was like, okay, Zach Eflin could be a starter. But we saw Zach Eflin in Tampa Bay when he was wanted to be a starter. He was an all-star, but then he was never really a star. He was that two, that strong potential two guy. And I think if they could put him in a two situation to find the ace, I feel like that'd be better. But if not, you trade him for young arms. So the Baltimore's have a lot of moves to make. They have a lot of decisions. But I said something else. What if Mike Elias just looks at all of this and says, you know what? We're running it back next year and just keeps everyone. This is going to cause a collision. I just don't think Mike Elias is in that position right now. I don't think he's on a hot seat, but there are eyes. And if moves aren't made and if he's not selling at the deadline because they aren't making the playoffs and allowing young players and prospects to come up and play, including Basalo, Beavers, McDermott, and all those guys, then I think, and Brandon Young, and I think you give them a chance, then I think the Baltimore Orioles will be in a fine way of knowing the future of their team if you give your players a chance to play. But will Mike Elias? You never know.